All right, let's talk about the Burj Khalifa. For over a decade now, it has been the undisputed king of the skyline. But you know, the real story isn't just about how incredibly tall it is. It's this enduring mystery of why, in an age of constant, non-stop innovation, no one has managed to build any taller. So today, we're going to explain exactly why that record remains unbroken.
So picture this. It's October 1st, 2009. After 5.5 long years of construction, the Burj Khalifa in Dubai officially becomes the tallest structure ever built by humankind. I mean, it soars to a staggering height of 829.8 meters, and to this day, it still holds that title. Nobody's come close.
And you know, to really put this achievement into perspective, you have to understand how these records usually work. New world records for height were, typically just 5, maybe 10% taller than the last one. But the Burj Khalifa? Oh no, it didn't just inch past the old record holder, Taipei 101. It completely shattered the record, soaring a full 62% higher. That's not a step, that's a giant leap.
So that unprecedented leap created a record that has just proven to be incredibly durable. I mean, plenty have tried to surpass it, and every single one has failed. Which brings us to the real question, right? Why? After more than a decade of insane technological advancement, what is it that makes this record so darn hard to beat?
Okay, so to really truly appreciate what a massive deal the Burj Khalifa was, we need a little bit of context. We've got to take a quick look back at the historical race for height. And believe me, this is a competition that stretches back thousands of years. Okay, so for almost 4,000 years, the Great Pyramid of Giza was the tallest thing on the entire planet. Progress was, to put it mildly, incredibly slow. But then the Industrial Revolution came along and changed absolutely everything. In 1884, the very first skyscraper pops up in Chicago. And this is a key point. It wasn't built for a god or a king. It was built for commerce. And just like that, the race to the sky ignited, leading to icons like New York's Empire State Building, which held the title for a solid 40 years before the whole competition eventually shifted over to Asia.
So what was it that made the Burj Khalifa so different? I mean, how did it manage to take this monumental leap forward when everyone else was just taking these tiny little steps? Well, the answer really lies in a unique combination of two things: a huge national vision and some seriously revolutionary engineering. See, by the early 2000s, Dubai's leaders knew the writing was on the wall. They couldn't depend on oil forever. So they hatched this incredibly ambitious plan to transform the city into a global hub for tourism and finance. But to do that, they needed something huge, something that would capture the entire world's attention. The Burj Khalifa, you see, it was never just about building tall. It was a $1.5 billion bet designed to literally put Dubai on the world map. And it's a bet that paid off, spectacularly.
Now, the engineering magic that actually made this insane height possible, well, it was a structural system called the buttressed core. It was invented by an engineer named Bill Baker, and the design is actually based on a really simple Y shape when you look at it from above. Basically, it acts like a giant tripod. This gives it immense stability, not just against its own incredible weight, but also against the powerful winds you get at those extreme altitudes.
But what's truly remarkable, what's kind of mind-blowing, is that this system was brand new. I mean, it had only been used one time before on a much, much smaller 264-meter tower in South Korea. So to implement it on a scale that had never ever been seen before, that was a huge calculated risk. Let's be clear, without this innovative design, a building of this height simply would not have been possible, period.
But this raises another question, doesn't it? If the technology exists, and we know the Burj Khalifa was a massive success, why haven't we seen a successor? Why hasn't anyone just taken the same blueprint and gone even higher? It seems like a no-brainer.
And believe me, it is not for lack of trying. Several challengers have been proposed. You've got the Jeddah Tower in Saudi Arabia, which was planned to break the 1-kilometer barrier. Then there's the even taller Dubai Creek Tower. But they all share the exact same fate: construction has been halted. For years, these incredibly ambitious projects have just been stuck in limbo, plagued by all sorts of financial and logistical problems.
And as it turns out, building taller, well, it isn't a linear challenge. The difficulty grows exponentially. Any dream to go higher now runs smack into 3 fundamental barriers. First, you've got the engineering wall. I mean, our current materials, steel and concrete, are being pushed to their absolute physical limits. Then there's the human wall. Our bodies just aren't designed for these altitudes, so managing things like air pressure becomes this huge, complex challenge. But the biggest barrier of all? Oh yeah, that's the money wall.
The truth is, the economics just don't add up anymore. And even China, a country famous for its insane pace of skyscraper development, has now banned new buildings over 500 meters. Their words? They're calling them simply for vanity and a wastage of money. When a government like that says it's not worth it, the financial risk has just become way too great.
So, this brings us to our final conclusion here, explaining why the Burj Khalifa's record has been so secure for so long. And the answer is, it wasn't just one thing. It was a perfect storm of really unique circumstances.
I mean, just think about it for a second. You had Dubai's singular goal to completely pivot its entire national economy. You had billions in oil money to fund a ridiculously high-risk project. The perfect technology, that buttressed core, showed up at the exact right moment. And it was all built during a time of massive global expansion. That combination of factors, it's incredibly rare. I mean, it's almost impossible to replicate.
But here is the most fascinating part of this whole story. According to Bill Baker himself, the very engineer who designed the Burj Khalifa, the problem isn't the technology. He claims that theoretically, we could use modified versions of his system to build structures over 3 kilometers tall. He even says, maybe taller than Mount Everest.
Now, that just completely changes the conversation, doesn't it? It shows us that for the first time in human history, the race to the sky isn't actually limited by our engineering skills anymore. The whole problem has shifted from what is possible to what is practical. The real question isn't can we build taller, but why would we? It's no longer about ability, it's about purpose.
So, for now, the Burj Khalifa will likely remain the world's tallest building for the foreseeable future. And it's not because we can't build higher. It's because we finally realized that our ambitions are limited not by the sky, but by the needs and the economics right here on the ground. The greatest barriers to touching the sky, it turns out, are the practical realities of life on Earth.